Chapter 26. That hasn't changed, Stannis grunted. The man was biased towards the Lannister agenda still now. Rhaegar's frown deepened. How many years has it been? You were a young man. And you served another king. You will find that maesters are like that, Lord Stark. They serve the position rather than the man who holds it, Tyrion pointed out with a smile. Ned ignored him. How forgetful of me. This belongs to you, now. He hands the badge of the hand to Ned. Should we begin? Without the king. Winter may be coming, but I'm afraid the same cannot be said for my brother. His grace has many cares. He entrusts some small matters to us that we might lighten the load. We are the lords of small matters here. How often do you attend the meetings? Ned looked at his friend. When I need to, Robert shrugged. Which was another way of saying he did not attend. It made Ned frown. My brother instructs us to stage a tournament in honor of Lord Stark's appointment as Hand of the King. How much? 40,000 gold dragons to the champion, 20,000 to the runner-up, 20,000 to the winning archer. Can the treasury bear such expense? Why can't it? 80,000 is nothing with the kind of gold we had, Rhaegar frowned. He had missed the wince from Jon Arryn. I'll have to borrow it. The Lannisters will accommodate, I expect. We already owe Lord Tywin 3 million gold. What's another 80,000? Are you telling me the crown is 3 million in debt? Impossible. Rhaegar stood, accusing eyes on Robert. You should have 10 times that amount. How are you in debt? Robert had nothing to say to that. I'm telling you the crown is 6 million in debt. Rhaegar's eyes nearly popped out from the looks of him. Lord Arryn, what the fuck? Rhaegar almost whined. Jon Arryn threw Rhaegar an apologetic look and the man fell on his ass. All that gold, how the fuck had Robert managed to spend it all? How could you let this happen? The Master of Coin finds the money. The king and the hand spend it. And the Master of Coin is there to advise against it, Rhaegar growled. He is not just there to count coins and find people to borrow from. Who put him there? Petter has proven to be quite a handy Master of Coin. He has, in his tenure, doubled the crown's profits and found more avenues to add to the royal treasury. Jon Arryn defended his choice of master. And yet the crown is in debt. He is supposed to advise you and the king to not spend as you wish. The Master of Coin is not just a coin counter and a profit maker, he's also there to make sure the treasury does not take a large hit. Rhaegar fumed. Jon Arryn frowned in silence. I will not believe Jon Arryn allowed Robert to bankrupt the realm. Lord Arryn gave wise and prudent advice, but I fear his grace doesn't always listen. Counting coppers, he calls it. Counting coppers. Rhaegar, please calm down, Elia whispered to her fuming husband. I'll speak to him tomorrow. This tournament is an extravagance we cannot afford. As you will. But still, we'd best make our plans. There will be no plans until I speak to Robert. Sadly, you are fighting a losing cause here, Lord Stark. My brother is not someone you can convince to do things he does not like. Renly smiled at the man. Ned stared at Renly and then gave Robert that look. The king shifted in discomfort. Scene changes to Cersei tending to Joffrey's wound. Please, it's nearly healed. It's ugly. What is he, a southern girl? Yara snorted. A king should have scars. You fought off a direwolf. You're a warrior like your father. Multiple people snorted in unison. I'm not like him. I didn't fight off anything. It bit me and all I did was scream. And the two Stark girls saw it, both of them. That's not true. You killed the beast. You only spared the girl because of the love your father bears her father. When Aerys Targaryen sat on the Iron Throne, your father was a rebel and a traitor. Someday you'll sit on the throne and the truth will be what you make it. That woman is giving the idiot dangerous teachings, Olenna muttered. Is she the one responsible for teaching Joffrey about his kingly duties? Joanna whispered to Jaime, who nodded. She does not allow anyone else to teach him anything. Stupid girl, the mother hissed in distaste. Do I have to marry her? Sansa flinched. The prince no longer wanted to marry, all cause her stupid horse-faced sister was a wild animal. She did not say that out loud, knowing full well her father would be majorly displeased. Yes, she's very beautiful and young. If you don't like her, you only need to see her on formal occasions and when the time comes, to make little princes and princesses. And if you'd rather fuck painted whores, you'll fuck painted whores. And if you'd rather lie with noble virgins, so be it. You are my darling boy and the world will be exactly as you want it to be. She's creating a spoiled monster, Elia stated in shock. How could a queen prepare a prince and heir like this? What was she thinking? She's already done it, Tyrion said darkly. Do something nice for the Stark girl. I don't want to. No, but you will. The occasional kindness will spare you all sorts of trouble down the road. We allow the Northerners too much power. They consider themselves our equals. I'm not sure it's the Northerners who think they are better than the rest, Lyanna scoffed, sharp eyes piercing through Cersei. She did not like the vile woman. How would you handle them? I'd double their taxes and command them to supply 10,000 men to the royal army. A royal army? Why should every lord command his own men? It's primitive, no better than the hill tribes. We should have a standing army of men loyal to the crown, trained by experienced soldiers. Instead of a mob of peasants who've never held pikes in their lives. That boy is going to cause a civil war when he takes the throne, Renly grunted in distaste. This nephew of his was always his least favorite, and now he had more reasons to despise the little monster. And if the Northerners rebel, I'd crush them, seize Winterfell and install someone loyal to the realm as Warden of the North. Uncle Kevin, maybe. Good luck with that, Robb scoffed. There was a reason the Andals couldn't conquer the North. The enemy would choke at the neck before they could even reach Winterfell. And these 10,000 northern troops, would they fight for you or their lord? For me, I'm their king. But you've just invaded their homeland, and asked them to kill their brothers. I'm not asking. Very heiress of him to do so, a baron said out loud for Robert to hear. The man turned and glared at him. A baron simply smiled. The North cannot be held, not by an outsider. It's too big and too wild. When the winter comes, the 7 gods together couldn't save you and your royal army. A good king knows when to save his strength. And when to destroy his enemies. So you agree. The Starks are enemies. Everyone who isn't us is an enemy. The wall turned dark and Olenna Tyrell stood, using the cane that had magically appeared to do so. I'm going to sleep, my mind's a much with so many things being shown to me all at once. And with that, she walked away. I believe a little rest might do us all some good. Jon Arryn stood next. The rest murmured their consent and slowly one after the other left the room and entered the corridor, each choosing a door and walking through it. 20 comments 0 vote. Chapter 27. It was an odd place that the group had opened their eyes to. For one, the viewing hall was similar to the Hall of Hearths in Harrenhal, able to house thousands and consisting of 100 hearths that did not burn. The wall of looked like it was made of dragon glass, but nobody was certain since they did not inspect the thing closely. But it looked smooth and should anyone touch it they'd either feel cold or get a zap as if lightning lived inside the wall. Tables were arranged against the walls to one side, each one large enough to hold a month's worth of food from the looks of it. Food of that amount had appeared the one time they ate there, but mostly the tables remained empty. Then there was the door, the only door in the entire hall. It was a single door made from wood and iron. There was nothing special about the door, no motifs or carvings on the things. Such doors one would find in the parts of the castle where the servants lived, plain wood and metal with a ring for the door handle. The corridor it led to was just simple, walls and floors made from the same polished black stone as the viewing hall was. Doors were lining up each side of the corridor, and nothing special about each door. It was not similar to the door that led into the corridor, these were made mostly of wood and carved finely like the doors used for the bed chambers of lords and the like. But it was what these doors led to that made them special. Depending on who needed the chambers behind the door would change, but only once. Like when Ned needed a place to calm Rhaegar down, the chamber had taken on the arrangement and the decorations of Rhaegar's chambers at Dragonstone. Only 2 doors led to a smaller corridor, while the rest led to either 2 more doors or a single chamber. In the case of houses Stark and Baratheon, their chosen doors led to a smaller corridor. For the Starks, the corridor was made similar to those in Winterfell and held 9 doors for 10 members, each door made from the same material as the ones in Winterfell. For the Baratheons the corridor was constructed similarly to the ones in Storm's End and contained 6 doors, each one made similar to the ones in Storm's End. Each room in that corridor led to a chamber, and each chamber arranged itself similarly to the chambers of the occupants of Winterfell and Storm's End respectively. In this manner, House Lannister's door leads to 3 more doors, House Tyrell's, House Greyjoy's and House Myrtell's leads to 2. House Arryn had the one chamber, as did Varys and Gendry. Only Daenerys' chambers were different from the rest. It had a red door and when she went inside the scent of lemons welcomed her with a warm hug. Of course, nobody actually knew this. They were ignorant of the greater magic at work in the place they were in, and none of them really cared enough to find out except Jon Snow, but he was busy with his own things to worry about. Jon had followed Daenerys inside her room and asked, "Are you sure you will be alright here alone, Dany? I can stay here if you want." "No, I feel at home in this place. I feel safe, Daenerys Targaryen stated. Okay, but if you feel like talking or not wanting to stay alone, you can come to me if you don't want to disturb your brother, Jon said. Thanks, Jon, you really helped me a lot, Daenerys said, to which Jon smiled back and left her room. On their own room, Ned and Catelyn were discussing about their children. What Arya said during her little breakdown was troubling, Ned stated calmly, putting his pants back on. She is young, Ned. In time she will understand everything and be the proper lady she needs to be, Catelyn soothed her husband, covering her nude form. The stress of the events had led to a very heated encounter. Catelyn could still feel the warmth of his seeds inside her. Could she get pregnant in this place? If so, she hoped she could give her lord husband another son. No, Catelyn, we are going about this in the wrong way, Ned shook his head. Arya is not Sansa, she has more of the north in her than the south. Perhaps her education could take on a different form. What do you suggest, my lord? We teach her how to wield a sword. How to fight. That is not what women do, Ned. Just because she can possibly learn how to wield a weapon, does not mean she can't learn the duties a lady has. Perhaps we ignore the things she's bad at, like the stitches. She would still need to learn how to manage a household. She feels pressured into believing that she must be like Sansa. We just need to show her that she doesn't need to be like Sansa, that we expect her to be her and nobody else. Catelyn tried her best to smile because that was something she did not agree with. A woman shouldn't learn how to fight, that was what her husband, the men-at-arms and her possible sons were for. All a woman needed to do was look pretty, pop out children for her husband, manage the household and raise the children. Anything else was entirely unnecessary. And we need to speak with the Septa about her biases. We need someone who can teach our daughters with equal attention. Ned, Septa Mordane has been around since Sansa was a child. Then she should know what we expect of her, Ned said with a sigh. If she can't keep her biases in check, perhaps we should look for someone else. This time Catelyn did allow the frown to show. The Tyrells. The prince is troubling to say the least. Marjorie stoked the fire in the fireplace, her face pensive. Do you think the betrothal will stand? Her grandmother asked. No. Cersei will do something, I can feel it. The girl looked away from the flames to her grandmother. And when she does, we'll be ready, Olenna Tyrell smirked. Worry not, my girl, the prince won't be an issue by the time our turn comes around. The girl hummed softly. The Starks interest me. Which one? Lord Stark. He might be too old for you, Marjorie. That is not what I meant, grandmother, the girl playfully glared. He seems like a disciplined and a man of principles. He is. Has been for a while now. People will tell you he gets it from Jon Arryn, but his father is no different, Olenna barked. Isn't it curious that a man like him has a bastard? Men are creatures of their cocks. If they feel it hardened they will put it in the closest moving thing, Olenna stated. But she had a smirk on her lips. The Martells. The Danes were not wrong in their assessment of Lord Stark, the Baron mused, swirling his cup of wine. The man is a man of principle and honor, and he has a deep-rooted dislike for the Lannisters. Something close enough to becoming hatred. You suggest we ally ourselves with them, brother? Doran suggested, staring intently into his cup of wine. Perhaps a betrothal, Arianne with the heir of Winterfell. Or perhaps Arianne and someone better amongst them. The brothers shared a smile. We'll probably find more allies by the time all of this is done, Doran added. We won't mind that, would we? Certainly not. The following morning, or what they assumed was morning, the group gathered back in the viewing hall to find the tables filled with breakfast items. They all dug in without an invite or question, made small talk and retook their seats. The screen lit up with a gentle glow once more. 40 comments, 0 vote. Chapter 28. Arya is unsheathing needle privately in her room as Ned knocks on the door. Where did you get that? Catelyn questioned sharply. How would I know? That hasn't happened yet. Arya rolled her eyes and looked away from her mother. Perhaps it was a going-away gift, Robb suggested. Catelyn frowned at her son. Robb wouldn't have given her that, she taught him better. Ned wouldn't either. That left only one person. Catelyn glared at Jon, who pointedly avoided meeting her eyes. Q. Who gave the sword to Arya Stark? A. Robb Stark. B. Benjen Stark. C. Catelyn Stark. D. Sir Roderick Castle. E. Jon Snow. E. Jon Snow. Jon, Arya and Robb answered at once. We didn't even get a chance to think about it, Renly stated. How can you be sure they are correct? Maya Stone asked. Because they all understand each other quite well and know that no one other than Jon Snow would go against Lady Stark to give a sword to Lady Arya Stark, Varys stated. The screen playbacks a video. Arya's room, packing things for her trip to King's Landing, having her direwolf assist her. Jon comes in to say goodbye before he leaves for the night's watch. Oh, is it showing the past events that was skipped? Margaery Tyrell said, getting a little interested. Arya Stark, thank you, Nymeria. Septa Mordane says, I have to do it again. My things weren't properly folded, she says. Who cares how they're folded? They're going to get all messed up anyway. She isn't wrong, Catelyn just sighed, a fond smile on her lips. Jon Snow, it's good you've got help. Arya Stark, watch. Nymeria, gloves. Jon Snow, impressive. Arya Stark, shut up. Nymeria, gloves. I don't think direwolves would do what normal would, Brandon muttered, amused at what his niece was trying to do. You never know, Ned just smiled at the image of his daughter. Jon Snow, I have something for you. And it has to be packed very carefully. Arya Stark, a present. Jon Snow, close the door. This is no toy. Be careful you don't cut yourself. He really gave her a sword. Catelyn shrieked. What need does she have with a sword? It could come in handy, especially where she's heading, a baron joked. Catelyn did not appreciate it, choosing to instead scowl at him. It wouldn't be the worst thing, having her learn how to fight, Elia said kindly. She can learn to be a lady and fight. But she doesn't need to learn it, Catelyn argued. She has brothers to protect her, and her father and the house guards. She's not going to dive into battle or anything like that. Better safe than sorry, Elia still held her smile. Catelyn backed away with a soft huff. She's a southern lady through and through, Maya Stone said. It's all right, Elia smiled over at Catelyn, who was now looking back at the screen. Water dancing would suit her, and that sword of hers, a baron commented. Elia gave him a curious look but he did not elaborate. Arya Stark, it's so skinny. Jon Snow, so are you. I had the blacksmith make it for you special. It won't hack a man's head off, but it can poke him full of holes if you're quick enough. Jon Snow, so are you. I had the blacksmith make it for you special. It won't hack a man's head off, but it can poke him full of holes if you're quick enough. Arya Stark, I can be quick. Jon Snow, you'll have to work at it every day. How does it feel? Do you like the balance? Arya Stark, I think so. Jon Snow, first lesson, stick them with the pointy end. Arya Stark, I know which end to use. He's a good big brother, Ned said softly, smiling at the sight of his children. He is, Lyanna smiled back. Better than someone we know. I am a magnificent big brother, argued Brandon. When he got blank looks from his siblings, he huffed at them. Congratulations to Jon Snow, Arya Stark and Robb Stark for getting the right answer. Arya Stark gets all her future fighting skills, Robb Stark gets a resurrection card capable of resurrecting anyone. Jon Snow gets the knowledge of making an enhancement serum. Both Jon and Arya winced at the new memories showed in their brains while a glowing card appeared in front of Robb with resurrection written on it. Oh my 7, Catelyn said. Whoa. Arya said as she went through all her new fighting skills, with this I can easily beat Jon and Robb. Really? Even if you had become the greatest swordsman in the future the current you would still not beat me Arya, Jon said with smile. Yeah, seriously where do you get the confidence, Robb said as he looked at the resurrection card in his hand while thinking who to revive with this. HMPH you will know as we continue to watch it. Arya smiled back. Robb who are you going to revive? Sansa couldn't help but ask as she was feeling left out. I don't know, Robb shook his head then looked at his father, what do you suggest father? Ned himself didn't have an answer to it. Hey system, does Robb need decide who to resurrect right now or can do it later like outside of here when we are back in Winterfell? Jon Snow asked the system. No you don't need to decide right now, you can use it whenever you want whether it's right now, or years later in the future. System replied back. See. You don't have to decide now just keep it for now. Anyways as long as we are here all of them still have a chance to get a resurrection card for themselves, Jon explained. Good, do it like that and even if we don't get it you don't have to use it on us rather keep it for yourself you may need it while fighting against the dead. Rickard Stark stated. Back on the screen. It once again plays the video of Ned standing outside of Arya's door. Go away. Arya, open the door. May I come in? Ned walks in. Whose sword is that? Mine. Give it to me. Arya hands the sword over with a frown. I know this maker's mark. This is Mikken's work. Where did you get this? This is no toy. Little ladies shouldn't play with swords. I wasn't playing. And I don't want to be a lady. Come here. They both sit on the bed. Now what do you want with this? It's called needle. A blade with a name. And who were you hoping to skewer with needle? Your sister. Do you know the first thing about sword fighting? Stick 'em with the pointy end. A round of chuckles ran through the room. She clearly remembers her brother's lessons, the Baron said in amusement. Ned laughs. That's the essence of it. I was trying to learn. I asked Micah to practice with me. I asked him. It was my fault. The mood in the room instantly dropped. It's not your fault, John whispered to his sister with some force. Arya smiled at him and hugged his side. No, sweet girl. You didn't kill the butcher's boy. I hate them. I hate all of them. The Hound, the Queen and the King and Joffrey and Sansa. You should keep your voice down, girl. You never know who is listening, Olenna warned, her eyes pinned on a smiling Varys. A shiver ran down Varys' spine. Sansa was dragged before the King and Queen. And asked to call the prince a liar. So was I. He is a liar. 20 comments 0 vote. Chapter 29. Sansa was dragged before the King and Queen. And asked to call the prince a liar. So was I. He is a liar. Darling, listen to me. Sansa will be married to Joffrey someday. She cannot betray him. She must take his side even when he's wrong. It's still unfair, Arya mumbled. But from the look on her face, she understood what her father wanted to say. Ned smiled at that. But how you can let her marry someone like that? The smile fell from his lips. Could he allow that to be now that he knows what kind of a creature Joffrey is? He looked at Robert, who was looking at him. Ned shook her head and Robert nodded, a little dejected but still nodded. Well, look at me. You're a Stark of Winterfell. You know our words. Winter is coming. You were born in the long summer. You've never known anything else. But now winter is truly coming. Our children might see a winter not even we are prepared for, Lyanna whispered to her brother. Ned sighed at the reminder. And in the winter, we must protect ourselves, and look after one another. Sansa is your sister. I don't hate her. Not really. Sansa smiled a little at her little sister's confession. She didn't hate Arya either. Sure, she was annoying, wild and nothing like her, but she did not hate her for it. I don't want to frighten you, but I won't lie to you either. We've come to a dangerous place. We cannot fight a war amongst ourselves. All right. Go on. It's yours. Ned. She will need it. When? She is protected by our men all the time. It doesn't matter anymore, does it? She already have her skills from the future now. All she needs is build her body to back up those skills. Brandon interject between the couple, which eventually lead to them looking away from each other. I can keep it. Try not to stab your sister with it. If you're going to own a sword, you'd better know how to use it. Scene changes to Bran's bedside in Winterfell. A crow lands on his windowsill. Bran frowned, tears in his eyes. He looked horrible on the wall. The covers stuck to his legs and gave a good outline of them, twisted and mangled. He could never walk again. Bran heard a sob and felt his mother hug him tightly and his father ruffling his hair. He hugged his mother back. Don't listen to it. Crows are all liars. I know a story about a crow. Yara grunted in agreement, thinking about a certain crow's eye. I hate your stories. I know a story about a boy who hated stories. I could tell you about Sir Duncan the Tall. Those were always your favorites. Those weren't my favorites. My favorites were the scary ones. Oh, my sweet summer child. What do you know about fear? Fear is for the winter when the snows fall 100 feet deep. Fear is for the long night when the sun hides for years and children are born and live and die all in darkness. That is the time for fear, my little lord, when the White Walkers move through the woods. Thousands of years ago there came a night that lasted a generation. Kings froze to death in their castles, the same as the shepherds in their huts. And women smothered their babies rather than see them starve, and wept and felt the tears freeze on their cheeks. So is this the sort of story that you like? In that darkness, the White Walkers came for the first time. They swept through cities and kingdoms, riding their dead horses, hunting with their packs of pale spiders big as hounds. The room shivered and trembled at the words of old Nan, both the young and the old. Before they would all have shrugged it off as legend and stories, as stories told to make children behave. Now that they've seen the White Walkers, seen them with their eyes and know what they would do to them, none of them held back their fear. Do you think she was around when they came the last time? Arya whispered to her two brothers. Old Nan is old but not that old, little sister. It's been 8,000 years since the White Walkers caused us an issue. She couldn't have seen it. Maybe she dreamt it, Arya suggested. What if she's a greenseer? There haven't been greenseers for years. Neither have there been White Walkers, Arya challenged. Robb frowned. It would make sense why her stories are so vivid, RBB nodded. Perhaps, Jon said with a smile. Robb walks into the room, interrupting old Nan's story. What are you telling him now? Only what the little lord wants to hear. Get your supper. I want some time with him. Old Nan walks out slowly. One time she told me the sky is blue because we live inside the eye of a blue-eyed giant named Macumber. Jon raised a brow at Robb. Not all her stories have to be right. He defended himself with a small blush. Maybe we do. How do you feel? You still don't remember anything. I've seen you climb 1,000 times. In the wind, in the rain. 1,000 times. You never fall. I didn't fall, Bran mumbled softly. Catelyn threw a glare at Jaime, who pointedly avoided her look. Scene changes to Catelyn and Rodrik arrive at King's Landing, entering through a back entrance. Fewer eyes back here, my lady. But still too many. It's 9 years since I've set foot in the capital. And no one knew who I was the last time I came either. You've already been made out, I fear, my lady. Jon Arryn shook his head. We just entered, Catelyn said in shock. Our Master of Whispers is quite capable. And there are more people invested in keeping their eyes and ears open, the old man explained. My lady. 2 guards pull up to her on horseback and hand her a scroll, informing her that she is to follow them. Welcome to King's Landing, Lady Stark. Would you mind following us? Jon Arryn smiled at the woman, who looked a little disturbed. How good were these spies, and how good was the master of them? I would. We've done nothing wrong. We've been instructed to escort you into the city. Instructed. I don't know who's providing your instructions, but follow me, Lady Stark. At Baelish's brothel. Many made a face, the uglies of them being Ned and Catelyn's. Ah, Lord Baelish, Varys said with a small smile. That is one of his brothels. Petter would never disrespect me like that, Catelyn snapped. Cat. Catelyn's face fell. Then it turned red as a cherry. That worm. To his whores. Go on. Go upstairs. You little worm. You take me for some Bacally Sally you can drag into a. 2 naked whores interrupt, and Baelish snaps at them to leave. I meant no disrespect to you of all people. How dare you bring me here? Have you lost your mind? No one will come looking for you here. Isn't that what like you wanted? I'm truly sorry, about the locale. He seems genuine, Renly hummed. Hardly had he ever seen that man be genuine. How did you know I was coming to King's Landing? A dear friend told me. Varys enters. Lady Stark. Oh, I'm a dear friend of his, I see. Varys giggled, the sound putting them all off a little. Lord Varys. To see you again after so many years is a blessing. Your poor hands. How did you know I was coming? You underestimate them too much, my lady. I must warn you that it would be a not so wise move on your part. Might even be your undoing, a baron explained. Petter is a friend. Littlefinger is a friend of no one but those he can benefit from. Trust me on this, Renly added. Catelyn frowned. She did not trust him on that. Knowledge is my trade, my lady. Did you bring the dagger with you, by any chance? My little birds are everywhere. Even in the north. They whisper to me the strangest stories. Catelyn hands him the dagger. Valyrian steel. Do you know whose dagger this is? I must admit I do not. Well, this is an historic day. Something you don't know that I do. There's only one dagger like this in all of the 7 kingdoms. It's mine. 19 comments 0 vote. Chapter 30. Well, this is an historic day. Something you don't know that I do. There's only one dagger like this in all of the 7 kingdoms. It's mine. Why is he lying? Stannis narrowed his eyes. Yours. At least it was, until the tournament on Prince Joffrey's last name day. I bet on Ser Jaime in the jousting, as any sane man would. When the Knight of the Flowers unseated him, I lost this dagger. To whom? Tyrion Lannister. The imp. Outrage broke out from the Starks, all of them glaring daggers at Tyrion. It was only Jaime's laugh that drew their attention to him. Littlefinger is really using your lack of knowledge of us against you, Lady Stark, the Golden Knight grinned arrogantly. My brother never bets against me, I can bet you all the gold of the Westerlands on that. Petter would not lie to me, Catelyn fumed. Cat. I can't believe I'm saying this, but the Kingslayer is right. The imp never bets against the Kingslayer, even if the Kingslayer is losing, Robert of all people put in his support. I never lose. Robert ignored the man. Catelyn went to say more but Ned stopped her. If Robert says, Petter is my friend, he would never lie to me, Catelyn insisted, furious that her husband was even nursing the thought. Perhaps if we keep watching, we'll figure this out, a baron cut in. Caitlin looked away and back to the screen with a scowl. At Castle Black, in a courtyard. Gren and Jon are sword fighting, Jon getting the best of him and breaking his nose. You're showing off, Robb muttered. I'm not, Jon huffed. If that were a real sword, you'd be dead. Lord Snow here grew up in a castle spitting down on the likes of you. Pip. Do you think Ned Stark's bastard bleeds like the rest of us? Pip steps forward and with one move Jon has him on his back. You're showing off, Arya said this time. Not me, Arya, you need to understand that Jon and me are the only thing different because of which we are here watching this, Jon said, and you do know that I am used to fighting like this. Yes, with Robb. None of them are Robb, Arya pointed out. I know that, but unfortunately that Jon Snow knows nothing, so I don't think he knows how to hold back, Job replied with a smile. Maybe you should take it easy and test them a little, Ned stated calmly. Let them benefit from you for a change. Jon frowned a little and said, I am sorry, but that won't be happening as I won't be joining the Night's Watch. Ned was struck silent as he saw Jon staring at him with indifference in his eyes and swallowed his words back. Next. Jon quickly dispatches another newcomer. We see Lord Commander Jeor and Tyrion looking on from a balcony. Next. Another man starts against Jon Snow, and as another joins, Jon defeats the two of them almost instantly. Lord Snow, it appears you're the least useless person here. Go clean yourselves up. There's only so much I can stomach in a day. He's a bitter man, Marjorie commented. He was a Targaryen loyalist. He chose the watch over death when father sacked the city, Jaime explained. He had seen the man once or twice in passing. He was in the city watch. Rhaegar perked up a little at hearing about a supporter of his. Tyrion and Lord Commander talking, overlooking the courtyard. A charming man. I don't need him to be charming. I need him to turn this bunch of thieves and runaways into men of the Night's Watch. And how's that going, Commander Mormont? Slowly. If we are to fight against the White Walkers, we need these men in their best condition, Ned sighed. We'll make sure our first line of defense is prepared, Jon Arryn nodded. We'll whip them into fighters, every last one of them, Robert grunted. Back in the throne room, just outside of the small council chambers. Lord Stark, I meant to give you this earlier. So forgetful these days. A raven from Winterfell this morning. Good news. Perhaps you'd like to share it with your wife. He's being too brazen, Brandon growled. Caitlin was supposed to be there in secret, and the man was openly speaking of it. Caitlyn's friend might not be what he seems to her, Lyanna whispered to her eldest brother, who nodded. My wife is in Winterfell. Is she? Baelish leads Ned to the entrance of his brothel. Ned is not so keen on the idea and begins choking Baelish. That is the second time he's pulled a stunt like that without any prior warning, Caitlin sighed in frustration. What had gotten into the smart boy she knew from long ago? I thought that she'd be safest in here. One of several such establishments I own. You're a funny man. A very funny man. Caitlin poking her head out of a window. Ned. The Starks. Quick tempers, slow minds. Maybe if you're a little more clear about your intentions, Lyanna growled the insult to the family, something none of the other Starks took kindly. Inside Baelish's brothel. The mere suggestion that the Queen's brother tried to kill your boy would be considered treason. We have proof. We have the blade, which Lord Tyrion will say was stolen from him. The only man who could say otherwise has no throat, thanks to your boy's wolf. Because it isn't mine, Tyrion muttered with a groan. He was going to get caught up in something he wanted no part of for sure. Petter has promised to help us find the truth. He's like a little brother to me. He would never betray my trust. I wouldn't trust him if I were you, Lady Stark, warned Renly. He might be something to you all entirely, but to me, he's a little brother and I trust him with this, Caitlin glared at the man. Your funeral then, Renly shrugged. Scene changes to Jon in the armory of Castle Black, putting away equipment when the gang of guys from before jump him. And now they gang up on him, Ned sighed. None of them were remotely what they needed. You broke my nose, bastard. It's an improvement. If we threw you over the wall, wonder how long it'd take you to hit. I wonder if they'd find you before the wolves did. Jon's wolf might find you lot before any of you could even do it, Lyanna glowered. Easy sister, Brandon chuckled in amusement. Tyrion, who had been watching, makes himself known. What are you looking at, half man? I'm looking at you. You've got an interesting face. Very distinctive faces. All of you. What do you care about our faces? It's just I think they would look marvelous decorating spikes in King's Landing. Perhaps I'll write my sister, the Queen, about it. We'll talk later, Lord Snow. The group walk away. Everybody knew what this place was and no one told me. No one but you. My father knew and left me to rot here at the wall all the same. 17 comments 0 vote. Chapter 31. Gren's father left him too. Outside a farmhouse when he was 3. Pip was caught stealing a wheel of cheese. His little sister hadn't eaten in 3 days. He was given a choice, his right hand or the wall. I've been asking the Lord Commander about them. Fascinating stories. They hate me because I'm better than they are. You're better than they are because unlike them you have been trained by a master at arms, Brandon the Elder pointed out with a disappointed shake of his head. You've been thrown a terrible lot, suck it up and make it your own. You're a Stark, we don't whine about the injustices. Jon shook his head. No matter how many times he reminds them that the Jon on the screen and he are different, these people won't stop the association between them, so he decided to just shut up. It's a lucky thing none of them were trained by a master at arms like your Sir Roderick. I don't imagine any of them have ever held a real sword before they came here. Scene changes to the king's chambers. He's drinking and eating at a table. It's been a long time. But I still remember every face. You remember your first. Please tell me he's not talking about what I think he's talking about, Lyanna muttered in disgust. He's sitting with Sir Barristan, so no, he's not. Probably, Brandon snorted at the glare his sister sent him. Of course, Your Grace. Who was it? A Tyroshi. Never learned the name. Oh gods. How'd you do it? Lance through the heart. See. I told you, Brandon smirked at a still glaring Lyanna. Quick one. Lucky for you. Mine was some Tarly boy at the Battle of Summerhall. My horse took an arrow so I was on foot, slogging through the mud. He came running at me, this dumb high-born lad, thinking he could end the rebellion with the single swing of his sword. I knocked him down with the hammer. Gods, I was strong then. Caved in his breastplate. Probably shattered every rib he had. Stood over him, hammer in the air. Right before I brought it down he shouted, wait. Wait. They never tell you how they all shit themselves. They don't put that part in the songs. The ones who did not take a life yet made faces at the wall. Stupid boy. Now the Tarleys bend the knee like everyone else. He could have lingered on the edge of the battle with the smart boys and today his wife would be making him miserable, his sons would be ingrates, and he'd be waking 3 times in the night to piss into a bowl. Wine. Lancel. Gods, what a stupid name. Lancel Lannister. Who named you? Some halfwit with a stutter. You could be a little kinder to him, Lyanna admonished. Too much kindness makes a man weak and soft. If you don't believe me, look at my son. All he ever had was kindness, Robert argued with little heat. Lyanna shook her head and turned away. It's empty, Your Grace. What do you mean it's empty? I think you know exactly what that means, Robert, Lyanna growled. Lyanna, Ned warned. Lyanna snapped her gaze elsewhere. There's no more wine. Is that what empty means? So get more. Tell your cousin to get in here. Kingslayer. Get in here. Surrounded by Lannisters. Every time I close my eyes I see their blonde hair and their smug, satisfied faces. You've gotten even worse as time passed, Lyanna grumbled. And whose fault is that? Stannis spoke, stunning everyone. The serious man hardly spoke during the entire viewing. He wanted you but you left him a broken man. I did not want to marry a drunken whoremongering. And a husband and father of 2 was such a better idea. A man you knew for a few months at best. Rhaegar is a better man than Robert could ever be, Lyanna stood up in outrage. If he was then he would have stuck behind and prevented a fucking war. Stannis stood as well, his chair falling with a loud bang. Instead you 2 ran off gods knew where and got married, while the realm burned. We left a letter. Fat load of shit that did. The letter never reached your father, or your brothers or my brother. And you know what happened then. Brandon charged to the capital with his friends because he was told you were abducted. He demanded that Rhaegar show himself or die. Of course, Rhaegar was not there, but your brother and his friends were arrested and sentenced to die for plotting the crown prince's murder. Your father came next and he demanded a trial by combat for your brother's life. Do you know who was Aerys, champion? You should because we just heard the story. Both your father and brother died and then Aerys demanded Robert and Lord Stark's heads. Because you and your precious perfect prince decided to run away, the entire realm had to be plunged into war. While you were in the comforts of wherever you went, the men and women suffered because of your and your prince's actions. Do you know what it's like to be so hungry that you have to resort to eating rats? Do you have any idea what it feels like to be under siege and watch your enemies dine on the finest of food? Because Renly and I know it too well, the both of us have been through it for the major part of the war. Stannis, that is enough, Robert muttered, finally out of the shock of hearing his brother rant as he did. Stannis was not the kind of man who ranted, he was the silent type, made his displeasure known in his expressions. Stannis scoffed at his brother. I got tired of her making you a villain when everything you have become is her fault and her fault only. I got tired of her thinking her sins were erased because she wrote a letter that did not reach anyone. And I got tired of you taking her abuse. Stannis picked his chair up and sat back down, but he did not stop glaring at the woman. The room fell into an awkward silence. Lyanna, we can. No, the woman cut her brother off hoarsely and cleared her throat with a cough. Let's continue watching. Lancel rushes out and Jaime enters. It must wound your pride, huh? Standing out there like a glorified sentry. Jaime Lannister, son of the mighty Tywin. Forced to mind the door while your king eats and drinks and shits and fucks. So come on. We're telling war stories. Who was your first kill, not counting old men? One of the outlaws in the Brotherhood. I was there that day. You were only a squire, 16 years old. First kill at 16 inches, Joanna muttered. She was impressed and was glad that Jaime was not receiving glares at that moment. Jaime is a generational talent with the sword, Tyrion explained with evident pride at his brother. Jaime puffed up. He is an idiot though. Jaime sighed. You killed Simon Toyne with a counter riposte. Best move I ever saw. A good fighter, Toyne, but he lacked stamina. You're outlaw. Any last words? I cut his head off, so no. What about Aerys Targaryen? What did the Mad King say when you stabbed him in the back? I never asked. Did he call you a traitor? Did he plead for a reprieve? He said the same thing he'd been saying for hours. Burn them all. If that's all, Your Grace. Much like the Robert on the wall, they all looked shocked, uncomfortable and horrified at the words. But nobody said anything. Mostly because Stannis' rant still played in their minds. Q. Who will be the first man in 8,000 years to kill a white? A. Jon Snow. B. Samwell Tarly. C. Benjen Stark. D. Jeor Mormont. 32 comments, 0 vote. Chapter 32. Q. Who will be the first man in 8,000 years to kill a white? A. Jon Snow. B. Samwell Tarly. C. Benjen Stark. D. Jeor Mormont. Another question. The first man to kill the white, huh? Since Benjen is the first ranger, he would meet them first before Jon or Samwell are ready for ranging, and Jeor Mormont won't easily leave the command. So I will go with C. Benjen Stark, Rickard Stark answered. A. Jon Snow. A. Jon Snow. Maya Stone right before Jon Snow answered, surprising him. Why did you guess my name? Jon Snow asked. Maya shrugged her shoulders. Every time you were the option in these questions, you have been the right option, so I just choose it like that. Wrong answer by Rickard Stark. He will lose the chance to answer the next 2 questions. Congratulations to Maya Stone for the right answer. She gets Super Soldier Serum, Spider-Woman edition. So Jon really was the right answer, and you couldn't answer before her ND lost the prize. Isn't this the first time for you? Arya asked with a teasing smile. Yeah, I got confident thinking no one could answer before me even if I wait a minute, but clearly I was wrong. From now on I will be the first one to answer whether it's right or wrong, Jon Snow said as he turned towards Maya Stone. Maya looked at the test tube with Spider-Woman serum and drank it in one go. Since she had already seen how strong Jon Snow became after drinking it, there was no way she could control herself. The moment serum entered her system, it began to work. Her skin became unblemished and her skin tone went back to its original white color it had been before she became tan from staying in the sun for long, and her hands that had become rough from work became soft once again. Jon Snow, who saw her changes, couldn't help but compare her to Katie McGrath the actress, and found out that after her changes she looked exactly like her. Huh, so that's why I thought she looked like someone I knew, Jon Snow mumbled to himself. Most of the people here had the same face as their actors or actresses counterparts, except for the fact that they were younger than 3-1 who portrayed them. And for those like Elia Martell and Maya Stone who didn't appear in series, also had the appearance of an actress. Well, it looks like I will have to talk to her later on, Jon said as he turned back to the screen. Varys, who was sitting beside Gendry and Maya, has become intrigued after seeing the changes in Maya. Moreover, his mind has started running another one of his schemes, but it will have wait and see if it will be even useful at the end when the viewing ends. Maya, on the other hand, was smiling from ear to ear and just wanted to throw a punch to see if she has the same strength as Jon, but decided to wait as the video has started once again. Scene changes to Daenerys riding horseback and walking through fields. The girl on the screen perked up in the room. She hadn't seen herself in a while. It made her wonder whether she was important to the future at all. Do the Dothrakis buy their slaves? The Dothraki don't believe in money. Most of their slaves were given to them as gifts. Gifts? A baron spat. He'd been in Essos for years, he's more than aware of their customs. From whom? If you rule a city and you see the horde approaching, you have two choices, pay tribute or fight. An easy choice for most. Of course, sometimes it's not enough. Sometimes a Khal feels insulted by the number of slaves he's given. He might think the men are too weak or the women too ugly. Sometimes a Khal decides his riders haven't had a good fight in months and need the practice. Daenerys looked horrified at the explosion. That was what her brother had married her into. Daenerys sees one of the Dothraki men strike a slave with a whip for not moving fast enough. Tell them all to stop. You want the entire horde to stop. For how long? Until I command them otherwise. You're learning to talk like a queen. Not a queen. A Khaleesi. Even after the words Stannis had said, even with all the guilt eating at him because of them, Rhaegar couldn't help the pride he felt in his sister. He had never seen the girl, and from what he saw of her, she reminded Rhaegar of their mother, gentle, kind and someone who took the suffering of others to heart. But unlike their mother, Rhaegar could see that Daenerys would do something about it. Daenerys dismounts her horse and walks through the field off of the path. She hears noises coming towards her and grass snapping. Her brother Viserys storms into the clearing on horseback wielding a sword. You dare. You give commands to me. To me. You do not command the dragon. I am Lord of the Seven Kingdoms. I don't take orders from savages or their sluts. Do you hear me? Viserys has his sword to Daenerys' throat. Ricardo whips Viserys, wrapping it around his neck and yanking him to his back. Rhaegar's eyes flashed dangerously at Viserys. That boy, no, not boy, that was a man now, and that man was too arrogant for his own good. Maybe that was a family thing. He had been too arrogant to think that people would just be okay with him taking another wife. A letter or not, he had been too hasty and for that, the realm bled. The guilt clawed at him more violently. Eerie. Ricardo asked if you want him dead, Khaleesi. Would do us all a favor, Robert grunted. No. Ricardo say you should take ear, to teach respect. Please please, don't hurt him. Tell him I don't want my brother harmed. Ricardo lets him go. Kill these Dothraki dogs. I am your king. King of nothing, a beggar king, Tyrion commented snidely. Shall we return to the Khalasar, Khaleesi? You walk. To Viserys. Serves him right, Sansa muttered. Scene changes to Eerie braiding Daenerys' hair and teaching her Dothraki. She feels Daenerys' breast. What are you doing? When was last time you bleed, Khaleesi? You change, Khaleesi. It's a blessing from the great stallion. Everyone shifted uncomfortably, even Daenerys. It was clear what the girl meant, Daenerys was pregnant. Back again in the courtyard of Castle Black. Jon is battling his brothers in black as Tyrion overlooks from the balcony. Jon continues to defeat them, and he begins teaching them. Much better, Brandon nodded in satisfaction. Tyrion re-enters the hall to speak and drink with Aemon and Lord Commander. How many winters have you seen, Lord Tyrion? He's still alive, Rhaegar said with a smile. Do you know him? A baron asked. Aemon Targaryen, was all Rhaegar said. 8, no, 9. All of them brief. They say the winter of my birth was 3 years long, Maester Aemon. This summer has lasted 9. But reports from the Citadel tell us the days grow shorter. The Starks are always right eventually, winter is coming. This one will be long and dark things will come with it. We've been capturing wildlings, more every month. They're fleeing south. The ones who flee, say they've seen the White Walkers. The more of them that die, the larger the army of the dead become, Jon suddenly said and was loud when he said the words. The adults shared worried looks. How could they stop this thing? Yes, and the fishermen of Lannisport say they see mermaids. One of our own rangers swore he saw them kill his companions. He swore it right up to the moment Ned Stark chopped his head off. The Night's Watch is the only thing standing between the realm and what lies beyond. And it has become an army of undisciplined boys and tired old men. There are less than 1,000 of us now. We can't man the other castles on the wall. We can't properly patrol the wilderness. We've barely enough resources to keep our lads armed and fed. Your sister sits by the side of the king. Tell her we need help. When winter does come, gods help us all if we're not ready. Perhaps we can help the Watch in gathering some resources of their own, Jon Arryn mumbled mostly to himself. But Robert heard him and grunted in reply. For every 700 power stones, you get one bonus chapter. For every 700 power stones, you get one bonus chapter. Shashankbot Creators Thoughts. 12 comments 0 vote. Chapter 33, Bonus Chapter. Scene changes to Arya in King's Landing. You are late, boy. Tomorrow you will be here at midday. Syrio Forel. A baron frowned in confusion. He hadn't heard from the first Sword of Bravos in a while. Rumors had it that the man was dead. Who are you? Your dancing master, Syrio Forel. A baron's eyes flashed in recognition. It would suit her well. The man nodded his head, earning looks from the Starks. Syrio throws a wooden sword to Arya. She does not catch it, but drops it. What dance requires a sword? Robb frowned. The water dance of Bravos. It's a style of combat that uses the flexibility of the body and speed rather than brute strength. It would suit young Arya Stark and the kind of sword she wields. A baron explained. Arya's eyes lit up with excitement, although she has the skills, but she didn't know how she got them, so she was exited to see it happen. Caitlyn's darkened with distaste. Tomorrow you will catch it. Now pick it up. That is not the way, boy. This is not a great sword that is needing 2 hands to swing it. It's too heavy. It is heavy as it needs to be to make you strong. Just so. 1 hand is all that is needed. Now you are standing all wrong. Turn your body sideface. So. You are skinny. That is good. The target is smaller. Now the grip. Let me see. The grip must be delicate. What if I drop it? The steel must be part of your arm. Can you drop part of your arm? No. 9 years Syrio Forel was first sword to the Sea Lord of Bravos. He knows these things. You must listen to me, boy. Perhaps I can learn this too. It looks interesting, Marjorie commented. The rest of the younger audience too found it interesting. Those who had a head for combat were thinking about how to incorporate it with their own way of fighting. I'm a girl. Boy, girl. You are a sword, that is all. That is the grip. You are not holding a battle axe. You are holding a needle. Ah. Just so. Now we will begin the dance. Remember, child, this is not the dance of the Westeros we are learning. The Knights dance, hacking and hammering. This is the Bravos dance. The water dance. It is swift and sudden. All men are made of water, do you know this? If you pierce them, the water leaks out and they die. Now you will try to strike me. Arya takes several attempts as Syrio turns his back, defending her and disarming her constantly. She begins picking up on a few things but still needs much work. Ned enters in the doorway and his smile turns to a grimace watching his daughter swordfight. Caitlyn's expression mirrored her husband's on the wall. She did not like her daughter learning all these unnecessary things. Scene opens to Bran in the courtyard of Winterfell shooting a bow as a raven flies in. I'm walking. Bran asked, half in confusion and half in hope. It could be a dream, Robb whispered to Jon, careful that Bran did not overhear him. Possibly, Jon nodded. As he approaches it, it flies into the crypt, continuously cawing. As Bran enters the crypt he makes direct eye contact with the raven and sees that it has 3 eyes. He wakes up. Theon enters just as he wakes up. Bran visibly deflated. It was just a dream. He was not going to walk again. You're seeing weird things in your dreams, Arya pointed out. Me walking again is not weird, Bran said heatedly. I meant the 3-eyed raven, Arya rolled her eyes. Bran rolled his eyes in reply. Old Nan is sitting beside Bran's bed. The little lord's been dreaming again. Theon walks in. We have visitors. I don't want to see anyone. Really. If I was cooped up all day with no one but this old bat for company, I'd go mad. Control your tongue, boy, Rickard snarled, gray eyes dark like a stormy sky. She is as much part of Winterfell as a Starks, show her some respect or I will pull that tongue of yours out. Theon nodded stiffly, looking away to scoff to himself. He was not afraid of dead Starks. Anyway, you don't have a choice. Robb's waiting. I don't want to go. Neither do I. But Robb's Lord of Winterfell, which means I do what he says and you do what I say. Hodor. Hodor enters, hoisting up Bran and carrying him away. Hodor, Lyanna smiled seeing her old friend, the mood from before lifting slightly. He looked to be in good health, something she was glad for. Help Bran down the hall. Tyrion standing in front of Robb and Maester Luwin inside the Winterfell castle. I must say I received a slightly warmer welcome on my last visit. Any man of the Night's Watch is welcome at Winterfell. Any man of the Night's Watch, but not I, boy. I'm not your boy, Lannister. I'm Lord of Winterfell while my father is away. Robb, Ned's voice was stern, cold and held a bit of disappointment. As Lord of Winterfell, you will extend your courtesy to any guest you welcome inside the castle. You will show them the same courtesy whether you like them or not. I taught you better. Yes, father, I'm sorry, father. Rob lowered his head. He hated disappointing his father. Then you might learn a lord's courtesy. Hodor enters carrying Bran. So it's true. Hello, Bran. Do you remember anything about what happened? He has no memory of that day. Curious. Why are you here? Would your charming companion be so kind as to kneel? My neck is beginning to hurt. Kneel, Hodor. Do you like to ride, Bran? Yes. Well, I mean I did like to. The boy has lost the use of his legs. What of it? With the right horse and saddle, even a cripple can ride. I'm not a cripple. Then I'm not a dwarf. My father will rejoice to hear it. Do you have to drag your father into these things? Joanna asked. I am only saying what is the truth, mother. Father would rejoice now that I am no longer a dwarf, Tyrion answered with a smile. Joanna shook her head with a sigh. I have a gift for you. Give that to your saddler. He'll provide the rest. Tyrion hands a roll of parchment to Maester Luwin. You must shape the horse to the rider. Start with a yearling and teach it to respond to the reins and the boy's voice. Will I really be able to ride? You will. On horseback, you will be as tall as any of them. Is this some kind of trick? Why do you want to help him? I have a tender spot in my heart for cripples, bastards and broken things. You've done my brother a kindness. The hospitality of Winterfell is yours. Spare me your false courtesies, Lord Stark. There's a brothel outside your walls. There I'll find a bed and both of us can sleep easier. You have done my son a kindness. Ned Stark stood facing Tyrion Lannister. For that, I am thankful to you. He lowered his head. Please lift your head, Lord Stark, Tyrion said with a tad bit of embarrassment. Think of it as my way of paying you back a little for the crime my siblings have committed, Tyrion muttered. Ned nodded his head and took his seat once more. Before Tyrion exits Winterfell for the brothel, Theon sees him off in the courtyard. Come to see me off, Greyjoy. Kind of you. Your master doesn't seem to like Lannisters. He's not my master. Tyrion, Joanna looked at her with warning. Tyrion rolled his eyes and shook his head. I have not done it, have I? No, but you're very likely to do it, so I'm telling you to behave, Joanna argued. Yes, mother, Tyrion mumbled. No, of course not. What happened here? Where is Lady Stark? Why didn't she receive me? She wasn't feeling well. She's not in Winterfell, is she? Where did she go? My lady's whereabouts. Chapter 34. You're too easily riled and it ruins your composure, Brandon the Elder clicked his tongue. You need to control your emotions better, or anyone with a working mind can use it against you and the people you serve. Theon grit his teeth, glaring down at his feet. Serve. What did he mean serve? The Starks held him as a prisoner for what his father tried to do. He served them because he had little choice. He is still a Lord Paramount's son, Uncle Brandon. Lord Starks treats him as a family, not a servant. Jon Snow said he didn't do it for Theon as he hated the guy for what he was going to do, but he didn't like the way Brandon Stark the Elder is behaving, like he is so smart when he doesn't have shot for brains. Ned Stark nodded with small smile at Jon defending Theon from his brother even though the two of them don't like each other much. Theon looked at Jon with a surprise in his eyes, who stared back. Theon nodded his head towards Jon, thanking him, who returned the gesture with a smile. My lady. Your loyalty to your captors is touching. Captors. Brandon raised an eyebrow. Is he not fostering under you, brother? His father rebelled against the crown. He is with Ned to keep his father in line, the man's last son, Robert explained instead. But he is a part of our family, Rob added with a smile, which dropped seeing the look on Theon's face. Tell me, how do you think Balon Greyjoy would feel if he could see his only surviving son has turned lackey? Theon grit his teeth, his knuckles turning white from how hard he was gripping his knees. A gentle but rough hand patted his hand and he looked up to see his sister giving him a look. I have not turned lackey, Theon whispered to her harshly. Then stop acting offended at everything the imp is saying, Yara almost snapped, whispering to him. Control your emotions or you'll get washed away by it, she warned before pulling her hand away. Theon stared at his feet, still gripping his knees. I still remember seeing my father's fleet burn in Lannisport. I believe your uncles were responsible. Must have been a pretty sight. Nothing prettier than watching sailors burn alive. Yes, a great victory for your people. Shame how it all turned out. We were outnumbered 10-1. A stupid rebellion then. It was, Yara said loud enough for Theon to hear. The boy's head snapped towards her, making her roll her eyes. Father thought the realm broken, but how? Robert had the Storm's lance, the North and the Vale under him. The Westerlands were tied to him by marriage and the Reach and Crownlands were doing everything to get on his good side. In what way was the rebellion going to be a success? Seeing the lack of a response, Yara rolled her eyes. Father isn't infallible, and everything he says isn't some divine scripture either. The Iron Islands deserve their independence, Theon argued. Then he should have found a way to do it where it didn't outnumber us and get our brothers killed. Theon looked back down and glared at his feet. I suppose your father realized that when your brothers died in battle. Now here you are, your enemy's squire. Careful, imp. I've offended you. Forgive me, it's been a rough morning. He's not sorry at all, Jaime snorted. In the courtyard of Castle Black, Jon Snow is giving the group lessons in fighting. As Alliser marches in with a new recruit. What in 7 hells is that? They'll need an 8th hell to fit him in. Oh poor Sam, Margaery said with a sad smile. As the daughter of the Warden of the South, she knew every son of every lord who visited Highgarden for one reason or the other. Sam was one of those that she genuinely liked. It was only a matter of time. Olenna shook her head. Randyll Tarly was a militaristic man and was not shy about showing his dislike for the boy who was his firstborn, who was gentle and kind like his mother. Who is he? Arya questioned. Samwell Tarly. He's Lord Randyll Tarly's oldest, Margaery answered. Tell them your name. Samwell Tarly, of Horn Hill. I was of Horn Hill. I've come to take the black. Come to take the black pudding. They're all going to be very mean to him, aren't they? Sansa asked with pity. She didn't feel anything towards the boy, rather one could argue that she was quite repulsed by how fat the boy was. Still, she couldn't just stand by and watch someone get bullied. Ironic for her, that was exactly what she did. Not that she realized it yet. Well, you couldn't be any worse than you look. See what he can do. Samwell is taken down almost immediately. I yield. Please, no more. On your feet. Pick up your sword. Hit him till he finds his feet. It seems they've run short of poachers and thieves down south. Bloody hell, Renly rubbed his face. He wasn't that good with a sword in hand, but this was something else entirely. Wasn't he the heir of Hornhill? How is he this bad? Stannis questioned. His mother coddled him and by nature, he's a gentle boy. He's always been a better reader than a fighter, Margaery explained. No wonder his father threw him to the watch then, Rhaegar muttered. He knew Randyll Tarly. Samwell was lucky his father did not plan his assassination and make it look like an accident. Now they send as squealing bloody pigs. Again, harder. Enough. He yielded. Looks like the bastard's in love. All right then, Lord Snow, you wish to defend your lady love, let's make it an exercise. You too. 3 of you ought to be sufficient to make Lady Piggy squeal. All you've got to do is get past the bastard. He's being unnecessarily cruel, Elia frowned. I wouldn't say this is unnecessary, Doran spoke. Sir Alliser is responsible for training the new recruits and preparing them for what's on the other side. The wildlings are vicious fighters, they need to be ready for that. And for that, they need a stern hand to push them. Elia's frown did not fall. Are you sure you want to do this? Alliser has the 3 guys attack Jon, trying to get to Sam. Jon successfully defends them all off. No. Yield. I yield. We're done for today. Go clean the armory. That's all you're good for. Well fought. Piss off. Did he hurt you? I've had worse. You can call me Sam. If you want. My mother calls me Sam. It's not going to get any easier, you know. You'll have to defend yourself. Why didn't you get up and fight? I wanted to. I just couldn't. Why not? I'm a coward. My father always says so. So he's a coward not because he feels it, but because his father says so. Renly mused, sounds to me like what he needs is a bit more confidence in himself. Hard to have that with Randyll Tarly as a father. The man does not favor or value something if it does not add to the military prowess of his house. His sons are no exceptions, Margaery explained. Sons. He has 2. Samwell and Dickon. Dickon is a much better fighter than Samwell, probably why Lord Tarly had no issues sending his eldest to the watch. He has another son to name as heir. Scene shifts to Daenerys and the Horde who have arrived in the Dothraki homeland. Vaes Dothrak. The city of the Horse Lords. A pile of mud. Mud and shit and twigs best these savages can do. These are my people now. You shouldn't call them savages. I'll call them what I like because they're my people. This is my army. Khal Drogo is marching the wrong way with my army. Your brother is delusional if he thinks the Dothraki are now his, a baron snorted. He has always been spoiled as a child by father, because of the many miscarriages mother had after me. The sense of entitlement came from there, And it seems he never grows out of it, Rhaegar sighed in disappointment. If he doesn't rein it in soon, he is going to meet a sticky end, Doran mused out loud. Daenerys, now sitting with her brother, wrung her hands nervously hearing Doran Martell. Viserys rides ahead. If my brother was given an army of Dothraki, could you conquer the Seven Kingdoms? The Dothraki have never crossed the narrow sea. They fear any water their horses can't drink. But if they did, King Robert is fool enough to meet them in open battle. Chapter 35. Robert narrowed his eyes at the screen. Remember the name for me, brother, he grunted to Stannis. Stannis nodded. But the men advising him are different. And you know these men. I fought beside them once, long ago. Now Ned Stark wants my head. He drove me from my land. Ned Stark stared at the screen coolly. You sold slaves. Why? I had no money and an expensive wife. And where is she now? In another place, with another man. Serves him right for being a slaver, Myrcella mumbled, speaking for the first time but still to herself. Nobody had the right to enslave another human, no matter what the reason is. I do feel a little sorry for him, Shireen whispered to her cousin. He loved her and did whatever he could for her. Still no excuse, Myrcella shook her head. Scene changes to the small council meeting in King's Landing. Eddard dismisses the council. As they are all leaving, Ned stops Pycelle. I've been hoping to talk to you about Jon Arryn. Lord Arryn. His death was a great sadness to all of us. I took personal charge of his care, but I could not save him. His sickness struck him very hard and very fast. I saw him in my chambers just the night before he passed. Lord Jon often came to me for counsel. Why? I have been Grand Maester for many years. Kings and hands have come to me for advice since. Lord Stark, perhaps you could use a lesson or two about tone and tact. Olenna Tyrell suggested, making the Lord of Winterfell bristle. What did Jon want the night before he died? He came inquiring after a book. A book? What book? I fear it would be of little interest to you, my lord. A ponderous tome. I'd like to read it. Now in Pycelle's room, he hands a book to Ned. The lineages and histories of the great houses of the Seven Kingdoms, with descriptions of many high lords and noble ladies and their children. Ned's eyes narrowed just slightly at the name of the book. What could Jon want with that book? Harkon Umber, first of his name, born to Lord Hother Umber and Lady Amaryllis Umber in the 183rd year after Aegon's landing, at the last hearth. Blue of eye, brown of hair and fair-complected, died in his 14th year of a wound sustained in a bear hunt. Ned's eyes shifted to Jon Arryn, who was looking at Robert. As I said, my lord, a ponderous read. Did Jon Arryn tell you what he wanted with it? He did not, my lord. And I did not presume to ask. No, he was not looking at Robert, he was looking beyond the man. Jon's death. Such a tragedy. He was looking at the children sitting on Stannis' other side, Shireen Myrcella, and Tommen. Did he say anything to you during his final hours? Nothing of import, my lord. There was one phrase he kept repeating, the seed is strong, I think it was. Something inside of him just clicked. Jon, may I speak with you? Ned asked, keeping his tone light and above suspicious. But he still earned those looks, mostly from his family and Robert. Jon on the other hand looked at him knowingly, as if he had expected Ned to figure it out. The two walked into the corridor and Jon led Ned to the chamber he had been occupying. It was the perfect copy of Jon's chambers at the Eyrie, Ned noted. How long have you known? Ned asked. Lord Stannis and I have suspected for a while, especially after Robert's bastards started popping up. Like the one here with us. Gendry, yes. He works with Tobo Mott as an apprentice armorer, the man smiled. He's one of 7 bastards of Robert's in King's Landing. All of them with black hair and blue eyes. Then there is Maya Stone, Robert's firstborn, also with black hair and blue eyes. And that got you thinking, Ned hummed, a probable reason for the Lannisters wanting you dead. Perhaps. When do you plan on telling Robert? As soon as we can assure the safety of the children. They are innocents in all this, but I don't think Robert will see it like that. Ned wanted to argue, give his friend the benefit of the doubt, but how could he when the image of the memory of Rhaenys and Aegon's bodies and how Robert reacted to them came to mind? It was the entire reason he had hidden his nephew from everything. Robert has no heirs now, Jon pointed out, blue eyes critically assessing Ned. He has 2 brothers, and by all law, Stannis will inherit the throne. You don't need to test me to find my loyalties, Jon, Ned rolled his eyes with a smile. Who else knows? About the children. I would guess that perhaps the Martells have figured it out. Doran Martell has a sharp enough mind to catch on, a Baron possesses one as well. Gendry and Maya being here only helps them. And they hold no love for the Lannisters and Robert for what was done to them, they could be a problem. No doubt they're already plotting their advantage, if they haven't already. Ned frowned deeply. Perhaps they're planning to make an alliance with you and push your nephew to the throne. And just like that the wind was knocked out of Ned. Jon. Don't try to play me for a tool, boy. Robert and the realm may believe it, but I do not. I have raised you and I know you well enough to know that you'd never bed another woman while you are committed to another. No, the only explanation for you besmirching yourself would be because Jon Snow is still your family. Lyanna's son. Jon walked up to the man and patted him on the shoulder. I understand why you did what you did, and I will support you when Jon's identity comes out. And trust me, it will come out. Ned pursed his lips. Viewing hall. I wonder what Lord Stark wished to speak with Lord Arryn, Rhaegar murmured so just his wife could hear. Possibly the bastardy of the king's children, Elia answered, rolling her eyes at the shocked look on Rhaegar's face. Don't be so dense, the clues are right in front of us. Where? Elia sighed at her husband's lack of observation. Look at the boy and girl sitting next to Varys, and then look at Robert. Then look at Jaime and look at the king's supposed children. Rhaegar did so, multiple times, then looked back at Elia with a frown. How are you certain? He asked. Well, according to Oberyn, we missed the part where Jaime and Cersei fucked and Jaime threw Bran off the tower. And then Lord Arryn wants to read that specific book, the clues are right before us, Rhaegar. I'm just surprised you haven't connected the dots. Rhaegar frowned at his wife, a little disappointed in himself as well. It all made perfect sense now that he thought about it. Perhaps Lord Arryn's death was not natural. Perhaps. Husband and wife watched as Ned and Jon Arryn returned and retook their seats. Ned whispered something to Catelyn, who only nodded in reply. Scene changes to Jon on the wall. Sam joins Jon as his watch partner. Jon isn't such a bad boy, Elia mused to her husband. Jon Arryn is hardly a boy, my love. I meant Jon Snow, Elia shook her head with a small smile. Rhaegar frowned again. Why bring him up suddenly? Elia shook her head with a smile. Just observing love.